Hello everyone and welcome back to Beyond the Veil background information. We're doing a creature profile and still in the subject of sea monsters. So as always, I will give you a quote where something is mentioned in one of my stories. I will give you the background information that we have for this thing, and then I'll give you the species profile as they exist in the Veil. I recorded this in June when the next chapter of the next chapter of the next book of the Viper Clan series is coming out, which is The Last Rattle, which is an interesting one about the vampires and the Strix, and also about Aurel and Cassandra. So, should be interesting, especially if you've been listening to any of my character profiles for them on here. But yeah, let's get into it. So, Cecaelia. I don't know about you, but I don't know about you, but the thought of being wrapped around in a set of tentacles is actually kind of interesting. I'm not usually the sort to think perverted things, but any chance we could meet this Cecaelia? A quote from Reciprocity. A term from 2007 and coined as a collective title for them, the Cecaelia are a created grouping for the occasional octopus or squid half merfolk you may see. Like with Tritons, they are more an art motif than actually a being of folklore, and though some stories state that they exist within indigenous American or Japanese folklore, I've failed to find any. Of course, please note below if you have found any. Please comment below if you have found any, though of course they could be members of the Japanese yokai. Now, their name is more curious, and there's a very good article writing in the margins discussing it, but overall these beings are created from art and, of course, a figure called Ursula who starred in the specific film. They've made their way into lots of different media, of course, and although they seem to be named after a grouping of amphibians, it seems to stem from the name of a 1970s comic book character that had 3 tentacles in place of limbs. In lots of art online, you can see that the concept of the half-octopus mermaid style is very popular and certainly has strolled into hentai and into some games. They are often associated as villains and sea witches, specifically because of Ursula, and well, they vary, and there seems to be a lot of variations on what each group using them decides to do with them. You can find them in like the TTRPGs. Some of them have them, and all sorts of fantasy stuff likes to include them, usually as an antagonistic character to mermaids. But they are just. I can't find anything that's about them specifically as a folkloric creature, although there's bound to be some. So, yeah, with regard to the Sicilians, just like with the Tritons, it all comes down to what you want to do with it in your universe. So, this is what I've decided to do with them. Side, neutral, created by demons mixing with sea creatures, created for no particular reason, created when, before the veil, physical description, akin to other merfolk. Their lower half is instead that of a cephalopod, and their upper half can be slightly human but often has a bluish or grey skin. Abilities. Not only having tentacles that aid them in doing many things, they can produce ink sprays to ward off enemies. They also vigorously guard their young that develop in eggs, to the point the parents will starve to death, and they tend to stick to deep water as they have been maligned for their predatory nature. Most known for their ominous looks. Weaknesses: mortal. Number: there are very few due to the distrust and the fact they are very susceptible to the chemical changes in the ocean, so the amount is not known, but they are quite rare. Well-known beings to be announced. Characters and stories to be announced. Final comments. I love Ursula, don't get me wrong on that, because they're a diva and hold a special place for those in the LGBTQ plus community like myself. And I love cephalopods too. So these are sea folk that I do love. It's just there's not really that much information about them. I mean, even the grouping name was decided in the 2000s. So if you find anything that's like an article like a folkloric thing, I would love to know, but I haven't found anything, literally, apart from references to the Sea Witch character in the original story. And that being influenced by Disney in the first place. There's not really much about these guys, but I hope you find it interesting all the same. Thank you for listening.